Daniel pressed his face against the cracked observation deck glass, watching the massive vessels descend through Earth's poisoned atmosphere. 3 years had passed since the evacuation fleets departed, leaving him behind in the ruins of New Geneva's research station. 3 years of solitude, scavenging, and the bitter knowledge that he was likely the last human alive on their dying homeworld. The ships were unlike anything in the galactic database, sleek, organic curves that seemed to breathe as they moved through the toxic clouds. But as the lead vessel drew closer, Daniel's breath caught in his throat. There, emblazoned on the hull in flowing script, was a symbol that made his knees buckle: the Chen family crest, his grandmother's family crest. "Impossible," he whispered, fumbling for his binoculars with trembling hands. The symbol was unmistakable, a phoenix rising from geometric flames, the same design that had adorned his grandmother's jewelry, her letters, her stories of the old world before the great departure. The ships landed with surprising gentleness in what used to be Central Park, their hulls pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. Daniel watched from his hiding spot in the skeletal remains of a skyscraper as figures emerged from the vessels. They moved with fluid grace, tall and ethereal, their forms humanoid but clearly evolved beyond baseline human parameters. One figure stood apart from the others, smaller, more familiar in proportions. Even from a distance, Daniel could see the way she moved, purposeful yet cautious, scanning the devastated landscape with what seemed like practiced efficiency. She wore form-fitting armor that gleamed with the same organic technology as the ships, but her silhouette was undeniably human. As if sensing his observation, the figure looked directly at his building. Daniel ducked behind the concrete barrier, his heart hammering. After a moment, he risked another glance. The woman was walking toward his building alone. 20 minutes later, Daniel heard footsteps echoing in the stairwell. He gripped his makeshift weapon, a shard of metal wrapped in cloth, and waited. The footsteps stopped outside his barricaded door. "Daniel Chen Morrison," a voice called softly. "I know you're in there." The voice was unmistakably human, speaking perfect English with just a trace of an accent he couldn't place. Daniel's weapon clattered to the floor. "My name is Liana Chen," the voice continued. "I believe we're family." With shaking hands, Daniel began dismantling his barricade. When he finally opened the door, he found himself face to face with a woman who could have been his cousin. If his cousin had lived for centuries and gained access to technology beyond imagination. She was beautiful in an otherworldly way, her features sharp and refined, her dark hair flowing despite the absence of wind. But her eyes were undeniably human, filled with a warmth and intelligence that spoke of shared heritage. "You survived," she said, and there was wonder in her voice. "Grandmother said you would." "Grandmother?" Daniel's voice cracked. "Elena Chen died 90 years ago." Liana smiled, and the expression transformed her alien perfection into something achingly familiar. "Time moves differently where we went, Daniel. For us, it's been 300 years since the Chen family left Earth during the Great Departure. Elena lived to be very old, and she never stopped believing that some humans would remain behind, would find a way to survive." "We?" Daniel managed. "The human diaspora didn't just scatter to nearby systems," Liana explained, settling gracefully onto a makeshift chair. "Some of us went further, much further. We found others, species that had faced their own extinction events, their own impossible choices. We learned from them, grew with them, became something new while remaining fundamentally human." Gestured toward the window where the bioships waited. "We call ourselves the synthesis. We are what humanity becomes when it refuses to accept defeat, when it adapts instead of surrendering. We are human will given form through alien wisdom." Daniel stared at her, struggling to process the implications. "But Earth is dying. The biosphere collapsed, the atmosphere is toxic." "Yes," Liana nodded gravely. "But not irreversibly. We've done this before, Daniel. We've healed dead worlds, brought extinct biospheres back from the brink. Earth can be saved, but it requires a choice." She stood, extending a hand toward him. "You can come with us, rejoin the human story among the stars." or you can stay, and we'll help you heal this world. Either way, you're no longer alone. Daniel looked at her outstretched hand, then out at the bioships pulsing with promise. For 3 years, he had believed himself the last witness to humanity's failure. Now he understood. He wasn't the end of the human story. He was a bridge between what humanity had been and what it could become. "What would Elena want me to do?" he asked. Liana's smile widened. "She'd want you to choose your own path, but she'd also want you to know that the Chen family never backs down from a challenge." Outside, more bioships were descending through the clouds, carrying technology that could resurrect worlds and humans who had transcended their limitations without losing their essence. Daniel realized that Earth's story, humanity's story, was far from over. He took Liana's hand and felt the future rushing toward them both. "Let's heal this world," he said, "and then let's see what else humanity can accomplish." The phoenix was rising from the ashes once again.